Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today I decided to do a healer balance video for 7.3. Looking at 7.3, there really isn't any major changes happening to any of the healing classes. A lot of the healing balance is going to be carrying over for 7.25 into 7.3. The big changes that are going to be happening to every single healer is tier 21. So there's a lot of people, there's healers who got sets that are just plain bad. There are healers who got a really good sets. So the tiers are going to determine which healers are going to rise in HPS, which healers are going to actually fall. So actually looking back at 7.25 and transitioning into 7.3, I have a chart here, basically the HPS for 50% percentile for mythic Tomb of Sargeras. You can see here that the balance in Legion for healers has been actually very close. There isn't a huge difference between a healer. At the end of the day, most of the time it's going to be a player greater than the class that they play, because player skill and individual skill is going to determine how good you are. So there really isn't a one class that's way below or one class that's way above. There are classes who provide additional utility. There are classes who provide additional niche healing that you could bring for specific fights. So looking at the chat right now for 7.25, you see that basically the priests and holy paladins have been kind of going staying at the top, but that's just because the fights suit them because of the tier 20s, this tier 20 bonuses. There's been a big difference for specific item levels when people switch over to tier 20. For example, Resto Druid tier 20 was not as good as tier 19. So when other classes start switching to tier 20, for example, Holy Priest tier 20 is actually pretty amazing. So when healers were switching to tier 20, the HPS increased, and that's for 7.25. In 7.3 and in 7.35, when the Antorus raid actually unlocks, the tiers are going to be different. So I'm going to be comparing the tiers that are out right now. Believe me, they're probably going to change in the future, but for right now, so for 7.3, your healing team is most likely going to be, in a way, very similar. So in 7.25, you had your Holy Paladin and your Resto Shaman as part of your core healing rotation or your core healing team, and that's not really going to change in 7.3 or with Antorus raid. Why? Because you need a really strong tank healer, a really strong single target healer. That's what Holy Paladin is going to introduce. Holy Paladin tier 21 is actually quite strong. It's looking like a decent upgrade. It's not going to be a downgrade from what tier 20 was. So Holy Paladins are going to be looking to get tier 21, and they're already providing a super strong tank healing. So they're going to be one of the core parts of your healing team. Now Resto Shamans are always going to be part of your team just because they have two major healing cooldowns, not one, two major healing cooldowns with Healing Tide and Spirit Link Totem. Spirit Link Totem can be used to cheese mechanics, can be used to bypass specific boss parts and things like that. So it's Shamans by default, doesn't really matter what kind of HPS they provide, they have the utility. So their tier 21 is actually focused again on Healing Rain. It seems that Blizzard loves giving Healing Rain tiers to Resto Shamans. So if Antorus raid is going to promote stacked up fights, Resto Shamans are probably going to be looking at a mid to top tier HPS wise. If there's going to be a lot of spreading out, they're going to be looking from mid to bottom HPS wise. But that doesn't matter. The utility is there from Resto Shamans. Tier 21 is looking like a decent alternative. I don't have hard numbers right now to tell you, but just looking at it, I can say it's going to be very similar to tier 20. It's going to promote stacking up. It's what Resto Shamans do, and they're also going to provide utility. So Holy Paladin, Resto Shaman, they're in your healing team. Now let's look at the other spots left over, which are going to be most likely allocated to raid healers. So you got raid healers like Mistweaver Monks. Mistweaver Monk tier 21 is looking to be around 8% healing increase, which is very similar to what tier 20 was. So Mistweavers are going to be staying in the same position healing wise. Now it's up to you to decide whether to bring a Mistweaver Monk over Restoration Shaman or Restoration Druid. Mistweaver Monks seem to be lacking in some kind of utility or niche healing, but like I said, it's all about the player over the healer class, because the healing balance in 7.25 and most likely in 7.3 is going to be very close. So it's percentages. So Mistweaver Monk is going to stay around the same considering the tier 21. Now let's look at Restoration Druid. So Restoration Druid tier 20 was very situational, and you can consider Resto Druids as the biggest losers in tier 20 race. Now tier 20 was very situational, only used on specific fights. You had to have a massive item level increase in order to use tier 20 over tier 19. Now with tier 21 you get the most passive tier set probably in the game right now. You don't have to worry about any of it. It's gonna give you around 11 to 12 to 13% healing, which is probably one of the largest healing increases. Resto Druid, sorry, overall from tier 20 to tier 21 looking like the biggest winners in HPS wise, and actually they have to do nothing in order to gain that kind of healing. Now let's look at the priests in 7.3 in Antorus raid. So the priests were probably one of the biggest winners in tier 20. Holy priest actually got probably the best tier 20 healing bonus. So you could actually see in the Warcraft log chart that I put up that with like specific item level point, that priests were skyrocketing with HPS, while classes who got pretty situational tier 20s were kind of falling down, aka Resto Druids. So priests were really happy with tier 20. Now for Holy Priest tier 21, tier 21 is looking really bad. It actually is almost looking like a HPS decrease. It promotes HPS negative playstyle. Holy Priests are actually panicking in Warcraft forums. They're asking for changes because it's a tier, it's one of the worst healing tiers that's going to be released with 7.3 with Antorus. I'm not sure if it's going to make it. If it is actually going to go live with the raid release, Holy Priest most likely will end up using tier 24 set for a lot of the Argos. So from one of the best tier sets in tier 20 to probably the worst tier set in tier 21. Let's see how it's going to change. If it's going to go live, it's going to be a very negative effect towards Holy Priest healing. Now, on the other side, this priest tier 21 is looking pretty decent. Tier 21 4 set is most likely going to be not as good as tier 22 set. So in any way possible, this priest are probably going to be looking to incorporate tier 22 piece with their tier 21. So maybe tier 21 4 set with tier 22 piece might be the way to go in 7.3 and 7.35 for this priest. Most likely it's going to be around the same, or maybe a positive gain with the tier set. This priest are going to be looking pretty good. This priest HPS is good. They're kind of a niche class, but also actually requires a lot of skill to play. It's very high skill ceiling for that. So if you feel like taking a challenge, if you feel you're a skilled player, you can actually achieve really good results with this priest, and that's looking to be the same in 7.3 and 7.35. Now, how is it going to compare to Holy Priest? This priest might be the way to go if tier 21 is going to stay the same for the holy guys. So you gotta have to wait and see if that's going to change. So this has been a little overview of how healers are going to basically balance out in 7.3 and with the latest raid releases. The biggest winners are looking like Resto Druids, just because of how situational tier 20 and tier 20 is, and tier 21 is going to be a large HPS increase unless it gets nerfed. Holy Paladin's got a really nice tier as well. The biggest losers by a large margin, Holy Priests. Let's see how their tier 21 is going to pan out. If it's going to be the same, Holy Priests are going to dip in very similar manner that Resto Druids were dipping when they had to switch over tier 19 to tier 20. So let's see how it's going to pan out. This is my preliminary ranking of healers in 7.3 and 7.35 when it's going to be released. Let's wait for the changes that are going to happen in 7.35. That's going to be maybe class balance changes, although I don't see them happening because, like I said, class balance, healer balance is actually very close in this expansion overall. So well done, Blizzard. Let me know how you feel about this little video. Let me know how you feel about the tiers. Which class are you going to be playing? Are you going to be re-rolling? Are you going to switch over? I'm just happy to see Resto Druids getting a really nice set bonus. Requires no effort. You might like that, you might hate that. Either way, it's going to be an easy healing increase. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.